Hello, back on track with Breath of Air today. Episode 2, in which quite a lot's happened. We have a new drum track. We've now got Groove Agent over BFD. Completely re-recorded bass line. Lots to talk about there. And I finally got the vocal melody sorted. The vocals aren't recorded yet. It's still a piano guide vocal. But I have decided what the final melody is going to be. And the lyrics are kind of nearly done. Maybe another week or so. I'm becoming happy with them. Let's get on with it. Song's supposed to be done by now. It's going to have a fade out. I think this might be the second fade out I've ever written. I don't generally like them, but it's always felt like this song wanted one. There's a repeating refrain at the end that's sung and will just basically lead the song to fade out. So that's that. Let's deal with the bass guitar first. I had the best fun recording it. It was really easy. can see where I've done audio warp editing on it. Really subtle. I've not done very much to it at all. So largely recorded live over the course of, there were a couple of sessions where it was recorded, but basically just I think I broke the song into 3 sections, but other than that, just stuck it on loop with like a bar on either side to give me a bit of an intro, and just played until I felt it was just completely comfortable. I was playing it, as naturally as I could. And this is the first bass line that I've written since, this is going to sound so weird, deciding on my new fingernail configuration. I'll have to stop the song for a minute. Hang on a minute, just let me shut it up. So when I picked the bass guitar up about three or 4 years ago, I put the electric guitar aside and said, I am now a bass guitarist, and dedicated myself exclusively to that. Bought a lifetime account at scotsbasslessons.com, which is a fantastic website. If you're a bass player, check it out. And just watched all the tutorials I could find, just absolutely devoured them. Cut my fingernails absolutely to nothing and kept them savagely short, and it's all about this kind of stuff. Then when I came back to play the guitar and discovered that I couldn't play with a plectrum, I wasn't going to do that anymore. I had to grow my fingernails back because I need them to play the guitar. And so there's been this awkward period in between where I've just avoided playing any bass guitar. And so for this song, I finally kind of steeled myself and said, what's it like to play the bass guitar with fingernails? And I really like it. They're quite short. I can't believe I'm talking in so much detail about fingernails, but guitarists kind of obsess about this. If you're a finger picker, how long should your fingernails be? And bass guitarists are not supposed to have them, but I really like it. It gives it a little bit of punch. Now, we do have some presets. I'll take that off and get the thing going again. So this is completely dry. There are no other effects on this sound at all. And you can hear there's a brightness to it. Which I kind of like. Guitar rig, this was kind of close to being just straight out of the box. There was one component I threw away, and I've done a bit of twiddling with the settings, but I really like it. That's some nice heft. So this could very well become, this I could envisage this being saved as Anthony's bass preset, for guitar rig. It sounds really nice. And all the time I've been talking, I've just let this potter away in the background, and see how it just feels kind of comfortable. I'm usually rubbish at those kinds of things, and the timing was just pretty good. I've been through it with a fine tooth comb. A couple of bits that were just a little bit timing awry, and so they've been fixed. And so I picked very large sections for 8, 16 bars in some cases, where it was just completely played as was, and just spliced the best bits together. So okay, anyway, let's put that to one side. Let's have a look at the drums. So these have come from Groove Agent. As we discussed in my last episode, I'm pretty much abandoning BFD. Great sound, terrible interface, just can't stand it anymore. It makes Cubase crash, and that's just game over as far as I'm concerned. And I decided to, pick this preset and basically did it in performance mode. So ran the song pretty much in its entirety on loop. Chose my basic pattern that I was gonna, my style that I was gonna base the song off, and found which of the grooves were closest to what I wanted. Then I'd kind of narrow in, cycle around 4 bars, mess with the complexity and whatnot. So if I kind of picked these 4 bars over here, for instance, get that cycling in the background, listening to the rest of the song. And just mess with the complexity and intensity, get to the stage where I had my basic drum pattern, how I wanted it to be. And then each time I found one, I said, right, that's great for that basic, for this part of the chorus, for this part of the verse. Find your 4-bar pattern, copy it over to one of these pads, and then just experiment with different fills and find out in that moment of the song with that kind of particular crescendo or that combination of sounds, what's the best fill. So auditioned each of the fills individually, plopped those onto pads, and basically then had this performance mode where I could turn these pads on and off. And I didn't actually record the output directly into Cubase. I dragged them 4 bars at a time, but it was just really, really quick. So this was just literally that, just dragging 4 bars at a time into the song, and then going back and listening to a minute and a half, 2 minutes worth. How does it feel? Now, I've only just finished that part of the process. So at the moment, they're nowhere near finished. For instance, they're far too active at the start of the song. Way too much going on there. But its heart is in the right place, it's a great starting point. And so from this point onwards now, I'll basically just use that as my very close to finished pattern. Just I'm trying to keep it as organic as possible and not drill into that completely obsessive bar by bar thing where I very often just disappear up my own arse, frankly. My drum rhythms are always far too busy, far too intricate, no sense of pattern or rhythm to them. So I deliberately wanted a situation where I'm saying this is the 4-bar pattern for this part of the song, and that's what I'm going to lean on. And fills are absolutely fine. You can throw fills in pretty much at will. And so now over the course of the next week or so, each time I listen to this, I'll find bits of the drums that offend me. Just on that last playthrough then, when we ran through it, there was one of the, which one was it? This ride bell sound really annoyed me, didn't like it at all. So I might try just dragging it down onto the ride bow below and see what that sounds like. Just experiment with entire sounds at a time. Do I even want that sound in at all? So this is just my default kind of starting position. Been having a bit of a play with the snare sound as well. The snare is so critical to a song's kind of success. The main snare sound in this song actually comes from this rim shot hit here. So that's just interesting. Again, I'll have a bit of a play with it, see if that's the way it's going to end up being for the rest of the song, but it is the way it is now. Guide vocals are written, as I say, all of this fits in line with the lyrics. So I'm on version 1, 2, 3, 4. This is only version 5, so these lyrics have come together really quickly. And they're not right yet, but they're pretty close. So maybe another week or so, and I'll be ready to start getting Pauline to sing. You can see that I've taken the entire guitar part out, that the vocals have completely replaced, and now every single one of these guitar parts will be re-recorded. Not a single note will survive. But I love so much of it so much that I'm really not going to change very much. I'll re-record the solo exactly as is. I think it's completely happy, and I hum it to myself when I'm pottering about the house. So the notes are right, they just need to be played better. One kind of technical thing that I discovered this week, and it's one of those embarrassing, you're supposed to be, somebody who knows how their way around Cubase. I didn't actually know that the chord track was the best place to have your harmonic information embedded, and this was really important because when I was messing around with the vocal line, I wanted to be able to transpose using the fancy new, what's it called, scale assistant. This scale assistant is magnificent, absolutely awesome. But I wanted to be able to, there's a chord key change in this song. It goes from E major to E Dorian, and I wanted to be able to write the music for the vocal line using the scale assistant and transpose and do the kinds of things that you can do. Well, if you use the chord track, you can actually do it. If you have a look, there we go. See how in this section of the song here, the background visibly changes. So it actually tells you where you're going from E major into E Dorian. And if I pick these notes up and transpose them, just move them up or down, they'll be transposed in Dorian. Whereas if I pick these notes up over here, and that's E major, and that's E Dorian. So just absolutely fantastic. You can't go wrong. So when I'm messing around with my vocal lines, I have my upper and lower notes that I'm allowed to play within because that's Pauline's vocal range. I have these little coloured stickers on my keyboard. It says that's the lowest note I can play, that's the highest note. Oh, it's not the piano. Yeah. So yeah, a bit of a template change I need to make. I'm no longer going to be using the harmonic info marker track that I used to have set up. I'll use the chord track instead. And you don't get this functionality, you don't get this dynamic changing of scales if you use a bookmark. You have to use the chord track, and then you can set up, use the chord track in Scale Assistant, and it'll basically dynamically map for you. So that's episode 2 done. Really pleased with the progress. I think I'll probably set to work on the guitars now. I need to get all of that background music really tight and solid before I decide what other music's going to fit on top. The vocals will take care of themselves now. When I'm in the mood, do a little bit more on the lyrics, and they'll get written when we're ready. But I fancy having a bit of a play with my guitar over the next week or so. So that's the next aim of the song. But progress is going well. I'm really happy with it. Hope you are too. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, hit notifications. You'll be sure not to miss the next episode. Hope to see you then. Thanks a lot.